Today, I'm going to be testing the top 10 best-selling yarns on Amazon. These are the yarns that are selling like hotcakes, and I want to see what all the buzz is about. I'm testing each yarn for 4 different characteristics. 1, the value, or how much does it cost. 2, the color options. 3, how it feels working with it with the recommended crochet hook size. And number 4, the availability of high-quality patterns featuring that yarn. And then when we're done, I'll rank them from my least favorite to my most favorite. Let's get started. Coming in at 10th place is Lion Brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick. I'm not surprised one bit that this yarn made the top 10 list because it is a fantastic yarn for a lot of different reasons. First, it comes in so many different gorgeous colors. There are solids, stripes, tweeds, and even metallics. It's a number 6 super bulky yarn, and most of the skeins are 80% acrylic and 20% wool. But a few of the colors contain a little bit of rayon, viscose, and polyester, and that helps with elasticity and drape. On Amazon, I paid $10.07 for a 5-ounce skein, and there are 87 yards. But I found it online at Joann's for $5.99. On the Lion Brand website, you're going to find hundreds of crochet patterns featuring this yarn, but one of my favorites is from Tony from TL Yarn Crafts. It's her beginner chunky crochet basket pattern, and I think it looks so good with this yarn. The yarn label recommends a 9mm crochet hook, so let's go ahead and test it out. So I'm just going to make a few chains and a few stitches to see how this yarn feels in my hands. Of course, this is just my opinion, but I have worked with this yarn before and it really is nice. I like that it feels like wool, maybe a little less scratchy. It does have a supernatural feel, not supernatural, but a very natural feel to it. And I just love the colors that it comes in. This really is a great yarn. I love how it works up and it just looks beautiful. I think one of my favorite parts about this yarn is just the colorways, and when you look at this close up and you see all of these different variances in the colors, there's some grays, there's some light tans and browns, and even some rust colors in there. I just think that looks so beautiful. This is the perfect project for hats and scarves and blankets. It's just gorgeous. While I love testing out new yarns, there's something else that I love doing every single day, and that's practicing Spanish. I'm learning Spanish with Babbel, and I am having so much fun. Me encanta practicar español. I just said I love practicing Spanish. I said it in Spanish. In January of 2023, I decided that it would be great to learn a new language, and Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the world. But Babbel has many other languages to choose from, like French, Italian, German, and Portuguese, just to name a few. What's special about Babbel is that it is scientifically proven to help you start speaking a new language in only 3 weeks.
¿Dónde trabajas?
¿Dónde trabajas? It teaches you about real-world conversations, and lessons will prepare you to talk about things like travel, business, relationships, and more. And what's great is that Babbel offers a 20-day money-back guarantee. Click the link in the description box to get 60% off your subscription. And let me know in the comments what language you want to learn. Thank you so much to Babbel for sponsoring today's video. Coming in as the 9th best-selling yarn on Amazon is, let me get it right, it's the Red Heart Super Savers Stripes. When I was looking at the top 10 list of the best-selling yarns on Amazon, I chose the exact listing. So this was the color of the stripes that was the most popular. And this, to be honest, is not a color that I would normally choose. I don't really go for these neon bright colors like this, but I had committed to the process, so this was the one I got. So it's a number 4 worsted weight yarn, and it's 100% acrylic. And this is the retro stripe colorway. But one thing that I'm really impressed about this yarn already is that on the label that you can see, it's OECO Tex Standard 100 certified. And basically that means that this yarn has been tested for a bunch of different chemicals and toxins to make sure that it is safe for us to handle and to use. And I really do appreciate that. I paid $13.29 for a pack of 3 of these yarns, and that came out to $4.43 per skein. They're 5 ounces and 236 yards each. But I found a better price on the Yarnspirations website for $3.49 each. But I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I have never used Red Heart Super Saver yarn before. I know it's crazy, but this was a yarn that my grandmother used back in like the 70s and 80s. And back then, this was a really scratchy yarn, and she used to make beautiful afghans, but the yarn made it so scratchy that nobody really wanted to use the afghans. So I have had a little bit of a bias against this yarn, so I'm actually kind of excited and interested to see how it actually feels in my hands, because as I'm touching it, it doesn't feel scratchy. So, and as I was looking around for patterns that featured the Red Heart Super Saver stripes, I came across so many, but there was one from Not a Crawl Crochet that took my breath away. It's the Retro Stripe Sunburst Granny Square Throw, and excuse me, let's just take a moment. I cannot believe that this gorgeous blanket was made with Red Heart Super Saver yarn. So let's go ahead and put it to the test. I've got my 5.5 millimeter hook ready to go. I'm really excited to try this yarn. It's something that I never thought I would be interested in using. I'm definitely glad I'm using this metal crochet hook. This is a really smooth metal, and so this is working very nicely. I have read online that if you wash anything that you make with fabric softener, that it really can help to soften up your finished objects with this yarn, which is good to know. It has very nice stitch definition, so I do like that. It's not my favorite, just the way it feels, but knowing that I can wash this and that I can make it much softer makes me like it a little bit more. Coming in at number 8 on the list of the top 10 best-selling yarns on Amazon is, drumroll please, Lion Brand Hometown. This is a number 6 bulky weight yarn, and it's 100% acrylic. It comes in 48 different colors, solids, multicolors, and textural tweeds. And you're also going to find over 200 free crocheting and knitting patterns on the Lion Brand website. And one of my favorite projects is the Academia Throw, which features 3 different colors of this yarn. And I love that this is a super bulky weight yarn. You can pick the colors of your favorite sports teams, and it's gonna work up super quickly. It retails at $5.99 for a 5-ounce skein, but I got it on Amazon for $3.42. That's a pretty good price, because as I was shopping around, sometimes I found that the Amazon prices were way higher than places like Joann's or Yarnspirations, but sometimes the Amazon price was the best price, so it really does pay to shop around. The yarn label just broke off. Oh well. It recommends a 9mm crochet hook, and let's put it to the test. I'm really excited to try this yarn because I have never used it before, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. I'm just gonna do the same thing, make a few chains, make a few stitches, and immediately I can see why people love this yarn. Oh my goodness. This feels so nice in my hands. It's so soft. It's so pretty. Oh my goodness. This might be a new favorite. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh my goodness. Oh, that is so pretty. There is so much to like about this yarn. I love how it feels. I love how smooth it is, and there was no drag with this crochet hook, which this is one of the prim hooks, and sometimes certain yarns can really drag, but this one did not. This one is really nice. I can see why it's a favorite. Coming in at number 7 on the list of the top 10 best-selling yarns on Amazon is one of my all-time favorites. Oh, it's upside down. And that's Yarn Art Jeans. It's a number 2 fine weight yarn, and it's 55% cotton and 45% acrylic. This comes in so many different colors, like over 80 different colors, and it is chef's kiss, one of my favorite yarns for amigurumi. I've made several projects with this yarn. I made recently the Petunia Petal Mouse, which is a free tutorial, a free pattern. It's a free everything. I also made the snowman finger puppets. I made the 3 little pigs finger puppets, which is another tutorial and free pattern. I am also working on a brand new design with this yarn that I can't wait to share with you in a couple of weeks. But I also did the Frida Kahlo doll, which is not my pattern, but that's from Jean Silo Nye Myra. And I also did Charlie the Platypus, who is from Arena Lee, little aqua girl from her Amigurumi Treasures book. So I got a lot of experience with this yarn. So I got this skein off of Amazon for $5.24, and it's 1.7 ounces and 174 yards. And if I'm only buying a handful of the little, they're really donuts, not skeins, but if I'm only buying a handful of them, I have found that to be the best price. But when I have bought in bulk, and I mean like a lot of it all at one time, I found the best price on Habanus yarns because the price per little donut here is less than $3 per little yarn thingy right here. But because it's coming from overseas, it really does pay off to get the free shipping or get close enough. So I had to spend over $250 to get the free shipping. But because I found that I loved this yarn, I decided that it was worth it. So I got a whole lot of it sitting right over here. On the Habanus website, it is $2.59 per little skein. So it really is a good deal if you know you love it and you're gonna buy a lot of it. Although I already have a very strong opinion about this yarn, I will go ahead and do a little test run for you. It recommends a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook, and let's check it out. Now we're going to try the Yarn Art jeans, which I've used so many times. I absolutely love this yarn. Now for amigurumi, I normally use a 2.5 millimeter crochet hook, but for this test, I'm using the recommended size, which is 3.5 millimeters. I already know I love this yarn. It has beautiful stitch definition. It feels great in your hands. It looks like cotton, but it doesn't feel like cotton, which cotton can have a lot less stretch. It does feel weird using this with a larger crochet hook size, but there's just so much to like about this yarn. I really don't have anything to say except for I love this yarn. I love that it's got that little bit of stretch to it. I love the stitch definition. I love how it feels in my hands. I just think it's amazing. Coming in at number 6 on our list of the top 10 best-selling yarns on Amazon is Caron Simply Soft. It's a number 4 worsted weight yarn. It's 100% acrylic, and I paid $11.99 for a 3-pack, which comes out to just under $4 per skein. This is a 6-ounce skein, and it has 315 yards. And if you remember, I told you that I bought the exact colors that were listed in the top 10 best-selling yarns on Amazon, and it happened to be this very dark color, and this is not a color that I would normally work with, and that's just because I don't have great eyesight, and it's really hard for me to see, and I get tremendous eye strain, but I wanted to be genuine, and so I got this. I'll be able to use it for something, probably not crocheting a lot with it, but we are going to test it out because this is a very popular yarn. Caron Simply Soft comes in over 50 colors, and I found it on the Yarnspirations website for $4.19 per skein. And you're going to find so many amazing patterns, but one of my favorites is from Daisy Farm Crafts, and it's the crochet mini checked gingham baby blanket. This one is so gorgeous, and you could do it in so many different colors, and that's what's great about this yarn is that there are so many to choose from. The yarn label recommends a 5 millimeter crochet hook, so let's get testing. Hopefully I'm going to be able to see to be able to do my little test. It's actually thinner than I thought it would be. I don't know why I was thinking. It is a medium weight, a number 4, which is interesting to me. It feels lighter than that. And the recommended crochet hook size is a 5 millimeter. That's so interesting to me because I would have used a smaller crochet hook size, but this yarn is very soft, especially compared to the Super Saver. This feels so nice, but I don't like this recommended size on the hook. It looks a little too holey to me. If I was going to use this yarn, I would probably go down to probably a 4mm, just to be honest. If I was doing something that gauge didn't matter, like a blanket or something like that, but it really is very soft. I can see that it's a little bit fuzzy, and I wonder if that's going to get worse and if the project will pill and all of that. But it does feel very nice to work with. I just am a little bit confused about this crochet hook size with it, but I like it more than I thought I would. And I wish I could see the stitch definition, but because it's with this dark black yarn, I really just can't see, but it does feel really nice. Number 5 on the best selling yarns on Amazon list is, oh, I did it backwards again. Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo. This is basically the exact same yarn that we saw before, but that was the Red Heart Super Saver stripes. This is the Jumbo, which just means it's a whole lot of yarn. This is still a number 4 worsted weight, and it's 100% acrylic. But this is a 14-ounce skein at 744 yards. That's a lot of yarn. I paid $13.95 for a 2-pack, and that comes out to under $7 per skein. But I found it on the Yarnspirations website for $9.99, and that was full price. They do sales quite frequently, so you could probably get it for even less than that. The regular sized Red Heart Super Saver yarn is full price $4.99 per skein, and it's 364 yards. So you can save a little bit of money if you know that you're going to be working on a project that's going to take a lot of yarn. So this can save you some money for sure. There are loads of amazing free patterns featuring this yarn, and one of my favorites is from a wonderful designer, Kirsten Holloway. This is the Primrose and Proper Crochet Blanket. Don't you just love the name of it? And it's a free pattern and a video tutorial. I imagine that this is pretty similar to the Red Heart Super Saver stripe, but let's put it to the test anyway. I'm going to test the Super Saver Jumbo, and I don't think that it's going to be really any different, but why not just try it? I looked for the center pull and I cannot find it, so I'm just gonna go from the outside if I can get this label off, and I don't want to rip it. There we go. I'm not expecting anything different from the other Super Saver yarn, but I'm definitely going to try it. Yep, it feels the same. It's not my favorite, but it's not terrible. I will say that. I can see why people would use this, especially when you know that you can wash it and make it softer. Coming in at number 4 on the top 10 best-selling yarns on Amazon list is Bernat Baby Blanket yarn. This is a chenille style yarn that comes in 71 colors. It's also another Oeko Tex certified yarn, which I love that. It's a number 6 super bulky weight yarn. It's 10.5 ounces and 220 yards. I paid $7.99 for this skein on Amazon, and I found it on the Yarnspirations website on sale for $9.99. More proof that shopping around really does make a difference, because sometimes you can get the best deals on Amazon. What's nice is that on the Yarnspirations website, you're going to find a load of different free crochet and knitting patterns featuring this yarn, but one of my favorites is the Mousy Snood. I mean, that is just the cutest little thing I've ever seen. I would wear that. I would wear it for myself. The yarn label recommends an 8mm crochet hook, and let's get testing. This is such a popular yarn. I hear people talk about it all the time, so I'm actually really excited to try it. I don't typically work with this kind of yarn a lot, so I am really excited to try it. It is very soft, and other chenille and polyester yarns I've used before are super sheddy, but I've heard that this one is different. We're about to find out. Like any chenille yarn like this, it definitely is hard to see your stitches. You almost have to feel them rather than see them. That's okay. It is really soft. Very, very soft. I think I would like this yarn better if I was using a metal hook, but I just don't have one in this recommended hook size. There's no shedding. It's not shedding at all, which, ooh, if you've ever worked with this kind of yarn before, that is a really, really good thing. This is super soft, no shedding. I would use this again. And as I was frogging this little sample piece, it is frogging so easily, which is really amazing for a yarn like this. And look, still no shedding. I'm really impressed. The number 3 yarn on our list of top 10 best-selling yarns on Amazon is one that I have a little bit of experience with, and that's the Easy Peasy yarn. And if that name is a little bit familiar, that's because this is from the Woobles. This is the yarn that comes in the popular Woobles kits, and if you haven't seen my video testing out the Woobles and seeing if a true beginner can learn how to crochet amigurumi, meaning my husband, you'll want to check that out because we did some really fun experimenting with crochet hooks. Just go check it out. It was absolutely amazing. When you get time, make sure to check that video out because it was really a great one. But you can buy this yarn without buying a kit, which is really nice. And during that test with my husband, I discovered some really interesting things about this yarn. This is more like a t-shirt yarn. It's got a lot of stretch, and that makes it ideal for beginners because tension is always an issue with beginners, and it really does help to regulate that. I paid $11.99 for this on Amazon, and it's a 5.3 ounce skein, and it's 164 yards. It's a number 4 worsted weight, and it comes in 15 different colors. And my favorite patterns for the Easy Peasy yarn is actually from the Woobles book, Crochet Amigurumi for Every Occasion. There are 21 absolutely adorable, pretty simple amigurumi patterns, and they all feature this yarn. And one of my favorites is Fred the Dino with his little birthday hat. I just think that is so cute. This yarn really is ideal for amigurumi beginners, but because of the cost, I think that it would be difficult to continue to use it long term just because it's quite expensive. But the recommended crochet hook size is 5 millimeters, so let's test it out. I'm excited to try the Woobles yarn again, and I'm also using a 5 millimeter crochet hook. This is definitely one of those yarns that is going to take some time to get used to. I do love that you can see your stitches so well. It's great for beginners. It's a stretchier yarn. It's a t-shirt yarn, so it just feels very different from applied yarn, which is what all of the other yarns that we're using, except for the chenille. This yarn really is ideal for amigurumi toys. I would not use it for anything else, and that's what it's designed for. It's got great stitch definition. It's fairly soft. It feels nice in your hands. So you can really see that stitch definition. That's what's so great about it, is that it's almost like looking at the anatomy of stitches. You can see every single little way a crochet stitch is made, which is kind of fascinating. Coming in at number 2 on the list of the top 10 best-selling yarns on Amazon is a yarn that we've already seen twice before on this list, and that's Red Heart Super Saver. Now, this is not the stripes, and this is not the jumbo. This is just the normal, regular yarn. And I find it really interesting that this yarn has been in the list of top 10 3 separate times. I paid $11.31 for a 3-pack, and that comes out to $3.77 per skein. Each skein is 7 ounces and 364 yards. I also found it on Joann's website for $3.37 per skein, so that's a really good price. It comes in dozens of different colors, and it's one of the most accessible yarns in the US. And one of my favorite patterns featuring this yarn is a brand new one from the Red Heart website. It's the Field of Daisies crochet blanket. How gorgeous is that? I absolutely love this blanket. I love everything about it. I love the colors. I love the little daisies. This is going on my list of projects to make. It's just so cheerful and happy, and what I love even more is that making this blanket is not going to break the bank. And although I've already tested the other 2, I'm just going to make sure that this one is exactly like the other 2, and it's recommending a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, so let's test it out. I don't expect this one to be different than the Red Heart Super Saver stripes, but you know what? We're gonna try it anyway. Yeah, it feels the same. It's definitely a budget-friendly yarn, but I do like that it has decent stitch definition. I definitely wouldn't want to make a garment with this, and honestly, I don't think that I would want to make amigurumi with it just because it is a little bit fuzzier. It also doesn't feel super good in my hands, and when I'm making toys, I do want it to feel nice in my hands, but I would consider making a blanket with it. I was hoping that it would feel a little bit softer, if I'm completely honest. Are you dying to know which yarn came in at number 1? Which yarn is the number 1 best-selling yarn on Amazon? I'll give you a hint. It's not Red Heart Super Saver. Coming in at number 1 in the top 10 best-selling yarns on Amazon is Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. I paid $4.99 for a 3.5 ounce skein, and it's 186 yards. I found it on Joann's website for $4.87. It comes in 27 different colors, and it's a mercerized 100% cotton. Mercerized cotton has undergone a chemical treatment that gives it that shiny finish, but it also improves the strength of the fiber. You'll find 97 free crochet and knit patterns on the Lion Brand website, and one of my favorites is the butterfly bag. I am all about the spring projects right now, and this one is just so sweet. I've got my 4mm crochet hook, and let's check it out and see if it really does live up to its hype. I am so excited to try this yarn. I've heard a lot of people really like it. This is nice cotton. I actually really like this, and I don't use cotton a lot. And if you've been here before, you're going to probably know exactly what I'm about to say, but cotton has less stretch. And because of that, if you have any kind of joint issues, like I do, it can be tough on your hands, on your wrists, your elbows. And I can tell that this is 100% cotton yarn. But if cotton is a fiber that doesn't bother you at all, then I could see that you would really like this. I prefer the Yarn Art Jeans, which is a cotton blend. I like how it feels better than this. But what I love about cotton is this beautiful stitch definition that it has. I mean, it just doesn't get better than that. It is just gorgeous. And as far as cottons go, yeah, it feels like cotton, but it doesn't feel super harsh in my hands. I'm really glad I got to try this yarn. I had a hard time ranking these yarns because they all have some really good qualities, but coming in at 10th place is the Red Heart Super Saver, and I'm just putting the jumbo here because 9th place is the Red Heart Regular Super Saver, and 8th place is the Red Heart Super Saver Stripes, just because I like the color better. This isn't my favorite yarn, and that's okay. It's a very budget-friendly yarn. It's not supposed to feel luxurious, and this is still a very popular yarn, and I can see why. It just was at the bottom of my list for this test. At number 7 is the Easy Peasy yarn by the Woobles. Now, I like this yarn. I think it's really great. The reason why I put it so far down on my list is that there's really only one application for this yarn, and that's amigurumi. And if you don't like amigurumi, then you might not want this yarn. The other reason is that it is quite expensive compared to most other yarns that you would use for amigurumi. Now I'm at number 6, and this one was a bit of a tough ranking for me because I really like this yarn, but it's the Woolies Thick and Quick. These are the top 10 best-selling yarns on Amazon, and so they're all going to be good yarns, and I love the Woolies Thick and Quick. It's just not quite as soft as one of the other yarns that is very similar to it, but I still think it's wonderful, and 6th place is not low on my ranking. It is still a great yarn. Coming in at number 5 is the Karen Simply Soft, and I really would love to try this yarn in other colors. It was just so difficult for me to be able to see it, but it really is a soft yarn. The name, Simply Soft, it really is Simply Soft. So I really like this yarn, and that's why it went at 5th place. Now we're at number 4, and 4, 3, 2, and 1 are all so close together that it was hard for me to rank them, and I feel like we're comparing apples to oranges at this point. But at number 4 is Bernat Baby Blanket. I am very impressed with this polyester yarn. It did not shed at all. I was able to frog it so easily. But based on my experience with other yarns of this type, I was very impressed. It feels really nice in your hands, but the fact that it didn't shed blew my mind away. Coming in at number 3 is the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. This is a fantastic yarn. If you love 100% cotton, you're going to love this yarn, especially if you love that sheen, that mercerized cotton. This one's a really good one. Number 2 is falling apart. The label broke in 2 places, which is totally fine, and it's the Hometown yarn. I did not expect this yarn to be so amazing, but it really is. It's so gorgeous. It's so soft and so squishy. I just really loved working with this yarn. It just was one of those yarns when you get your crochet hook and you start to work with it and you aren't expecting it to feel so great, and you're like, oh my goodness. Oh, I love you. I love you so much. And that's exactly how I felt with this yarn. But here's my number 1. It's the Yarn Art Jeans. I absolutely love this yarn. It's so versatile. It's so pretty. It comes in so many different colors. It feels so good in your hands, and it's a really good price if you buy it in bulk. I can't say enough about this yarn, especially if you love to crochet toys. It's wonderful. So that's why it's in my number 1 spot. I hope you enjoyed this yarn test today. These are some of my favorite videos to do. I love getting my hands into things and just discovering what works for me, and I hope that will encourage you to not be afraid to experiment and to try new things. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Stay safe and happy stitching.